2016, the DoD reluctantly released a report claiming the drinking water of 126 military bases had been contaminated with substances called perfluorooctane sulfonate, PFOS, and perfluorooctanic acid, PFOAs. After the initial report, just 12 months later, an additional 275 bases were added to the list, totaling 401 contaminated bases. Why would it be important to know about this, you might ask? Because we've all been exposed to these compounds. Due to the popular demand for products such as Teflon nonstick cookware, Gore-Tex, fast food wrappers, and cups, all are products which are heavily overloaded with these compounds. I'm passionate about this topic because I've interviewed veterans and their families who have unknowingly and unwillingly been exposed to these toxins and several other toxins on our nation's military bases and surrounding towns. Today I will convey to you why PFOS and PFOAs are of interest to some and a reason to hide for others. I will explain to you their chemical makeup, the adverse health effects they have on the human body, and what's currently being done, or more appropriately, not being done to correct the problem. Before I dive into why we need to be aware of these compounds, I will first tell you the history of them. PFOS and PFOAs are a class of man-made chemicals that were created to put out petroleum fires on bases for training. According to monthly variations in perfluorinated compound concentrations in groundwater, published September 2018, PFAs have a carbon chain backbone bonded to either a fluorine or functional group, which makes them hydrophobic and oilophobic, which gives them their desirability in popular nonstick products. The EPA.gov Water Health Advisories for PFOA and PFOS, posted November 2016, claims that exposure to these compounds above certain levels may result in adverse health effects. The EPA has established the lifetime health advisory limit, or also known as the LHA, is 70 parts per trillion. Sadly, most of the military bases, the drinking water tested, exceeds this limit. Pat Elder of popularresistance.org posted March 9, 2019, claims that PFAs are known as the forever chemical because they're not biodegradable. A report written by Maureen Sullivan, Deputy Assistant Secretary of Defense from the DoD, published March 2018, asserts that the adverse health effects of human exposure to PFOS and PFOAs include developmental delays in fetuses and children, decreased fertility, increased cholesterol, increased uric acid levels, changes to the immune system, prostate, kidney, and testicular cancers. Before I continue to tell you more about these compounds, I will first concentrate on a few specific bases which exceed the EPA's LHA. According to Sullivan, Naval Support Facility Diego Garcia had 5 DoD water purveyor systems tested. 3 of the 5 wells tested exceeded the EPA's LHA. The range? 77 to 5,849 parts per trillion. Sullivan's report adds that Naval Air Station Pensacola, Florida had 9 wells tested. All 9 wells exceeded the EPA's LHA. The range was 84,000 to 126,300 parts per trillion. Consider Naval Air Station Jacksonville, Florida. Sullivan's report asserts 17 wells were tested. All 17 wells exceeded the EPA's LHA. The range, 3,410 to 1,397,120 parts per trillion. I will remind you, the EPA's LHA to PFOS and PFOA exposure is 70 parts per trillion. While the numbers I have just conveyed to you are staggering, I will now mention another astounding point. The DoD has been using these compounds since the 1940s. The biggest reason that they published the report was the EPA deemed these compounds too dangerous of a problem for the people who were exposed to them. The EPA also had Superfunds on many of these sites while people were actively being sent to them. According to EPA.gov, Moffett Field Naval Air Station, Moffett Field, California, asserts that NAS Moffett Field was intended to be put on the EPA's national priority list on April 10, 1985. and it wasn't finalized on the MPO until July 22nd, 1987. Elder claims the DoD has been testing thousands of individual wells at military installations, but in many communities, they do not publish the results. Now that I've revealed to you what PFOS and PFOAs consist of, some of the health risks associated with exposure to them, and what's currently being done to correct the problem, I will now leave you with this thought. The DoD has compiled a list of 401 contaminated military bases. I recently read an article claiming that the DoD expects this number to rise significantly in the near future. America's heroes should not be forgotten and not left to suffer the fatal side effects of this poison. They deserve to be provided with clean water because they sacrifice so much for our safety. They don't deserve to sacrifice their health and the health of their families because of the government's inability to keep their water clean. Thank you for your attention.